Hi, I'm Rick Anstiss, and I would like to thank Dro TV for having me on today. I think accentuating the plant through media is an excellent way of doing it, um, as well as through activism and events such as Big Cloud Farms and Michigan Weedsters. Those kind of things are duly noted and seen in the community, and podcasts and informational outreach are huge. So thank you, Dro TV.
Welcome to My First Time, the show about your first time getting high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman with Dro TV. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Rick Anstiss, aka Mr Fungi. What's happening?
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming on Dro TV. You can find more of Rick on Facebook and Instagram, Mr Fungi 420 and Rick Anstiss. We'll have the links in the description below. So Rick, thanks again for giving us some time today. Please let everybody know where you're located and a little bit about what you got going on in the cannabis world.
Well, I'm a cannabis caregiver, activist, and business owner. I've lightly dabbled into the metric market down here in Southwest Michigan. I was in Hartford with that endeavor, and I'm here in the Berrien County area of which most Michigan people always like to do the thing. So I'm right across the lake from Chicago.
Okay.
And we're doing pretty big things here in the cannabis world regionally. The West Side has predominantly been known for kind of an aggressive approach towards cannabis for the last 30 years. So as it's blossoming and new things are happening and new leaderships are changing, it's becoming, a good thing. So glad to see it.
Yeah, very much so. And I know there's a big community in Michigan. Good friend of mine, Big Tree Cultivars, is up in Michigan doing some work as well. So,
excellent.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. There's lots of caregivers. People here in Michigan. We have Big Cloud Farms, which is a caregiver and music event venue that we put on for our caregivers and patients, and give them an opportunity to accentuate their entrepreneurships.
Excellent. Well, I definitely want to get more into Big Cloud Farms because I'm interested in what you've got going on there, as well as, you got a lot going on, Rick. But
yeah,
the show is my first time, so please tell us about the first time you got high.
Well, it was interesting, I suppose. The first time was actually my second time, which that occurs occasionally with people. Sure. I've heard throughout time. I thought it was just me, but initially tried it and felt no effects. I was about 16 years old, and about a week later, and that's when it hit me. And I was like, wow, this is what this is. It hard to explain the first initial feelings when you didn't know them, but it's a wave of euphoria. You feel, I wasn't sure if I was drunk or if I was what I was feeling, and of course whatever I was smoking was some compressed whatever from wherever.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it hit me, and I noticed that, man, as a young guy, I drank a lot, and I was like, wow, this is like way easier to have a uplifted feeling versus drinking like 6 beers. And then of course after 6 beers, you don't feel just that good happy spot anymore. You feel bad, and the next day you feel bad as well. So I noticed that it didn't give me any hangovers, and I could pull through my so-called high and proceed with my day. Whereas if I drank and got drunk, then that's a wrap. That's your day done. So and it was a unique experience because I was also at a a party. We live down here. It's kind of farmland, so it was one of those backfield type parties, and it was in the fall. And of course, there was somebody at the party that the county sheriff were looking for, and they decided to show up and make their presence known that evening. And I wound up in the cornfield and the apple orchards for hours, just trying to avoid any contact whatsoever because I wasn't feeling that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, I guess it didn't give you this heightened sense of paranoia that you've lived with your entire life, because that would be bad.
right. Right.
So cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Big Cloud Farms. This is something that you created, you started?
I have three other partners that helped me start this, and
Okay.
like most things, it's anything that has grit and moves forward and usually takes a team. So we got a nice team of people that are able to put on a really good music venue or show, with headliners, and then also be able to accentuate our caregiver program and what it does and how people operate and what we can do within the confines of our laws here in Michigan. So it's a nice opportunity for networking, and that's what it's really helped out a lot with, people getting to know somebody else, even if it's across the state or whatever. And then you find yourself working with them in some regard and benefiting um, your cause, their cause, maybe the entire cause. Um, and we also work with Michigan Weedsters, which is another group that I have another collective of ownership with. And Michigan Weedsters is patient-based, caregiver-based, citizen-based group that isn't we're not a lobby. We do lobby, but we're not one of these major collectives. When you talked about lobbying, we're not this big entity. We're just the people, and we
Right.
come to the state and make ourselves known with rallies, and even during session, we get in there and we talk to our House representatives and tell them what we really want. And so far, we've had great success pushing back many House bills last year that was opposed against our rights that we've already awarded ourselves through voting. So
Right.
yeah.
Interesting. Can you share some of your tactics or your abilities? Because I know, especially now, it's like you can't walk into these so-called public buildings. So for somebody that's maybe interested in activism on the level of, maybe confronting is not the best word, but approaching a representative and talking to them about cannabis, any advice that you can give?
Yeah, be aggressive and be yourself. So
Okay.
come from where we come from in the cannabis community, that heartfelt place, and express to your local state representative. And that's where I would start, as your local state representative, because they represent you immediately and directly. So they're to listen to what you have to say, and if you bring it to them in an educated manner with factual basis, and often they like some statistics. So if you can bring some of those things to the table in a short meeting, you can usually impress upon them pretty heavily. And if you do it collectively, not one person in the constituency, but numerous people reaching out to that representative, it's a big thing.
Kind of a strength in numbers approach.
Absolutely, and that's what we have here in Michigan, is a caregiver program that has over 250,000 uh, participants in it. And when we stand up, we have a strong voice. It's hard to deny such a thing that's been working for about 12 years, 15, 13 years now. So
Right. In my experience, politicians, they want to be reelected, and um, not always do they care about what is best for us or what is right. Um, so, in your experience, what's some of the pushback you would receive, or when you change someone's mind, what do you see that really changes their mind? Like, how do you know the light switch has gone off?
Often it's, again, when you come from that heartfelt place, these testimonials that people give from our caregiver side. Um, I myself, as caregiver, can give you endless counts of helping somebody, whether it be a terminal disease all the way back to a simple headache or a hangnail. Once they realize that the vastness of that medication carries so far across the board, they usually say, "Wow!" And even if it's not that they see the vastness that it can cover so many things, if they can just see the cancer aspect or just see the seizures in children, the epileptic aspect, those are usually enough to say, um, for them to continue to listen to you and maybe move forward with something. And I often tell many of them is, you can't get away. I guarantee you, Senator so and so or House Representative so and so, that you have somebody in your family that has suffered or dealt with cancer in some manner. And with what cannabis does to cancer and for cancer, against cancer, is unjust and unfair.
Mm,
And they start to see that, oh, you can give me Klonopin for the pain as I die, or you can give me something that could maybe put myself in remission and I could continue on with my life.
right.
Um, that's as extreme as it is, and it's true. So
Mm.
yeah. So when they hear some things like that, it's hard to deny it.
Now, do you do any research when you're going to speak to a politician or approach a politician? Um, do you do any kind of like background check, so to say, and see where, like, a little history of this person, maybe what they voted on before, where they stand, so you know how to approach them?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to know your person that you're attaching yourself to. Sometimes they're strongly opposed, and you just have to find the angles to take to change it. Sometimes you can't, and you have to reach out to other representatives, and sometimes that's even outside your own district. And I've done that as well. But luckily, I've had a representative here locally that has been in line with it. And then the other thing is reaching across the aisle with the issue. The Democratic Party seems to be the predominant force of movement in most of these states for this. It's a kind of a liberal-esque kind of thing. Um, but you have to have the right side involved, and make it a true bipartisan issue. Otherwise, they never talk about it. They'll put House bills all over and they'll lay there on the floor and wait. And they'll never talk about them. They'll never bring them up because it's not an issue that comes across the floor that matters to both of them.
Right.
Um, so getting that right side involved, whether it's through the business aspect of things or uh, even regulation. That's what we found here in Michigan, that the right side sees interest in this, for the regulatory side of things, because they don't want to see a lot of regulation on what's already been operating. We've already got this thing operating really well in the caregiver motto. We don't need a bunch of more oversight from the government.
Right.
So, whereas the right side is, kind of a little heavier on the testing and oversight and this and that, but we're working through it in Michigan. We got lots to do.
Great. No, that's always interested me because uh, you see and hear stories, testimonials. We see videos online of politicians. They say one thing and they get elected, and they do another thing, and so especially when you're serious about voting and serious about making this plant legal, we need to hold these people's feet to the fire and um,
Yeah,
not let them get away with playing politics, as most of them probably do. But there's definitely people out there that are trying to make a difference too.
yeah. Well, and what they've seen here in Michigan that's been much different for others is, again, this caregiver program. 250,000 people that register to vote have a vote on a very significant issue. And if that representative or that mayor or that town whoever treasurer doesn't line up with those voters, then they're going to make choices that line up with their values.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you guys just had a Big Cloud Farms event?
Yeah, we just had Cloudoween last weekend, and we had the Whittler there, and Vincent Gordon's art. He did some live painting. We really like to accentuate the arts and like I said, the entrepreneurship and the creativity that comes with the cannabis community. Yeah, the cannabis is there, of course, but it's what it brings. It's
Right.
creativity and inside of people comes out with amazement. So
Awesome.
yeah.
How was the event overall? Was there a costume winner that was like a really cool costume, or?
Yeah, but I don't know who it was.
Okay.
I don't know who exactly won it, but there was a lot of costumes and many
Cool.
of them were really, really cool. There was a guy that came in a giant Elmo suit and it was like one of those professional, like you'd see at Disney type. And I'm like, wow. So yeah, there was some neat things.
Really cool. Awesome. Uh, what's with the Hazy Holes Cannabis Classic? That's another event that you're working on.
Yeah, I hold that. This was its third year, and it sells out every year. It has 27 sponsored holes. They're all cannabis sponsored entities, and they set up their tents and their booth at the tee box and present themselves to all the golfers. And then I have about 54 teams and 240 golfers come play. And I've had involvement from Jim Belushi, Tommy Chong, Calvin Johnson, two state representatives here in Michigan, our attorney general. It's gotten a lot of notoriety, and it's a network again, a networking opportunity. This one particularly invites the metric market, so some of our local dispensaries and things are involved with it as well, and it's just a neat opportunity for the general public to kind of see the whole spectrum, see caregivers, and see different grow shops and other dispensaries and products and things. And then here in Michigan, we're allowed to give away things, so people can gift a joint or a pre-roll to somebody as they go by, which is again pretty neat when you're golfing.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, I want to quickly mention Food Forest Abundance. Food Forest Abundance is a great way to create your own self sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. 3 years, and then this next year will be the fourth year, and eventually, with the people I've had involved here the last few years, I'd like to get a celebrity opportunity for the public. So next year, maybe having some of these people that are a little more prominent actually playing with somebody else. Somebody gets a chance to play with Kellen Johnson or Rob Deere or something like that, or Darren McCarty or whatever. So
Nice.
yeah, you always got to step it up, otherwise it gets dull.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rick, man, you got a lot going on, and we appreciate people like yourself in the community making a difference on so many different levels. Um, and really, really, all the stuff you have going on is amazing to bring awareness to this plant. Uh, let everybody know where they can find more of you and how they can support you.
Well, I'm Rick Anstiss on Facebook, or Mr Fungi, and Instagram. I'm Mr Fungi 420, and you can find me also at Weedsters or Big Cloud Farms. Weedsters Instagram is Weedsters 2.0. Good old Instagram likes to take pages down, so hit them with a 2.0.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go down there and smash the like button for Rick. Leave a comment. Let him know about what you think of the activism he's doing, all this different work with Big Cloud Farms, and really bringing attention to the caregiving aspect. So Rick, I appreciate it. Thanks again for coming on Dro TV.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's it for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. As always, smoke them if you got them. What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got them.